The story unfolds in a small, seemingly quiet town named Valley Creek. Known for its calm atmosphere, this rural community, nestled deep in the woods, has always prided itself on its sense of justice and small-town values. But this peace is shattered when a series of dubious criminal cases begin to emerge. The cases, each suspiciously linked to a local judge, begin to cast a dark shadow over the town. The events span several months, starting with a questionable conviction in a high-profile case and leading to a chilling conspiracy that rocks the community to its core. In the once peaceful town of Valley Creek, a corrupt judge named Judge Thomas Cartwright rises to power. Known for his authoritative demeanor, Cartwright presides over multiple criminal cases with an air of professionalism. However, beneath the surface, the town's legal system is slowly unraveling. Cartwright has been orchestrating a series of sham trials, manipulating the jury system for personal gain. The first incident that sparks suspicion is the conviction of a well-known local businessman, James Conway, for a crime he didn't commit. Cartwright's hand-picked jury delivers a swift guilty verdict, despite a lack of solid evidence. As the case unfolds, it becomes clear that something is terribly wrong. Law enforcement, including Detective Sarah Mitchell and State Prosecutor Linda Hernandez, becomes aware of the strange pattern of guilty verdicts in Cartwright's cases. The investigation into Judge Cartwright's actions intensifies as the town's legal and judicial integrity is called into question. Their primary goal: uncover the truth behind these manipulated trials and put a stop to Cartwright's corrupt reign. James Conway is the first victim of Judge Cartwright's fabricated legal system. A well-respected businessman and philanthropist, Conway's life is turned upside down after being wrongfully convicted of embezzlement. Despite an airtight alibi, Conway's trial is rigged by Cartwright, leading to his life sentence in prison. Conway, who once held power in the community, now finds himself helpless behind bars, unable to clear his name. As Conway's case gains attention, others come forward with similar stories. Each one tells of unfair trials, manipulated evidence, and juries with glaring conflicts of interest. The town becomes a battleground for truth, as more innocent lives are disrupted by Cartwright's false convictions. Judge Thomas Cartwright, the mastermind behind these injustices, remains the central figure. As the story unfolds, it becomes evident that Cartwright has built a network of corrupt individuals within the judicial system. His hand-picked juries, all of whom have personal connections to him, play an integral role in the orchestrated verdicts. Charles Denton, a wealthy businessman with deep ties to Cartwright, is also suspected of being an accomplice. Denton stands to gain financially from Cartwright's rulings, which favor him in business disputes, and has been found to have a vested interest in keeping Cartwright in power. Detective Sarah Mitchell, known for her keen eye and determination, is tasked with cracking the case. Her relentless pursuit of the truth drives the investigation, despite mounting pressure from town officials and the fear of retaliation. Mitchell's investigation leads her to uncover hidden connections between Cartwright, Denton, and several of the jurors involved in the manipulated cases. State Prosecutor Linda Hernandez is another key figure in the investigation. As the public outcry grows, Hernandez uses her position to push forward with legal action against the corrupt judge. She faces constant roadblocks from local politicians and law enforcement, many of whom are tied to Cartwright. Mitchell uncovers a pattern in the jury selection process. Cartwright has been stacking juries with individuals who owe him favors, are financially indebted to him, or have personal relationships that make them easy to influence. When one of the jurors, Terry Malone, comes forward with a confession of bribery, it's a breakthrough. However, the truth comes at a cost, as Malone is found dead under mysterious circumstances just days later. The investigation takes an unexpected turn when Sarah Mitchell discovers that Judge Cartwright has been secretly working with an underground network of powerful individuals who help him eliminate witnesses and threats to his empire. The more Mitchell digs, the more dangerous the case becomes. The breaking point comes when Detective Mitchell finally uncovers a trove of damning evidence in Cartwright's personal office, including documents outlining the details of each rigged trial and fake jury setup. With nowhere to hide, Judge Cartwright attempts to flee the state, but he is apprehended just before he can escape. As Mitchell prepares to arrest him, Cartwright makes a chilling confession about his motivations. He reveals that his reign of corruption was driven by personal greed, a thirst for power, and a secret deal with Charles Denton that promised him wealth and influence in exchange for his rulings. In a final twist, it's revealed that Cartwright's influence extends far beyond the local town. There's a web of corruption stretching to other nearby jurisdictions, creating a bigger scandal than anyone could have imagined. The case expands beyond Valley Creek, uncovering a network of manipulated trials across the state. Judge Cartwright's arrest sends shockwaves through the legal system. His trial becomes a public spectacle, and he is convicted of bribery, conspiracy, and multiple counts of misconduct. His accomplices, including several jurors and Charles Denton, are also charged. However, the investigation into the larger network of corruption continues, with many individuals still unaccounted for. In the aftermath, the town of Valley Creek struggles to restore its faith in the legal system. James Conway is released from prison after serving 5 years for a crime he didn't commit, but the damage done to his reputation is irreversible. Detective Mitchell, now hailed as a hero, continues her work to expose corrupt judicial systems across the state, while State Prosecutor Hernandez is appointed to oversee the reform of the local court system to prevent future injustices. Cartwright's actions were driven by his unrelenting desire for power and wealth. His manipulation of the legal system was a means to an end, fueled by greed and the fear of losing his position. James Conway's life is shattered by the wrongful conviction. His family, reputation, and business all suffer as a result of Cartwright's twisted legal games. The emotional toll on his family is devastating. As the case unfolds, media outlets latch onto the scandal. Public pressure grows, influencing law enforcement to take action against Cartwright. The media plays a key role in keeping the pressure on officials, ensuring that justice is sought. The case raises questions about the integrity of the judicial system and how power can corrupt those entrusted with it. It serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of oversight and accountability in the legal process. Judge Thomas Cartwright, born into modest beginnings, quickly ascended the judicial ladder in Valley Creek due to his ambition, sharp legal mind, and his cunning ability to make powerful friends. Throughout his career, he kept his true nature hidden, presenting himself as a stoic, impartial judge. His rise was largely fueled by his knack for manipulating the system to his advantage. Cartwright's early years as a judge were marked by a series of lucky rulings that gained him the favor of influential business figures, politicians, and criminal syndicates. However, Cartwright's true aspirations went far beyond his small-town courtroom. He dreamed of connecting with powerful cartels that operated across state lines, and he knew that in order to reach the heights he desired, he needed to forge connections with other influential figures within the judiciary. In this chapter, we would explain how Cartwright was first introduced to the idea of manipulating his fellow judges. He came into contact with Charles Denton, a wealthy businessman with ties to various criminal organizations, who suggested that Cartwright use his judicial power to assist the cartel in exchange for favors, money, and future influence. Cartwright, always calculating, saw the potential for wealth and power in this alliance and began to sow the seeds of his corrupt empire. This chapter introduces the criminal syndicate Cartwright begins to work for. The Black Rose Cartel, a large but secretive network, has its tendrils in drug trafficking, arms deals, and money laundering. The cartel's leaders, including Carlos El Lobo Ortega, see Cartwright as an invaluable asset. By manipulating high-stakes trials, Cartwright can help them avoid conviction, allow their shipments to pass undetected, and secure their illegal operations with the support of corrupt judges. To ensure his loyalty, Cartwright is provided with lavish gifts from the cartel. These include expensive vacations, new luxury cars, fine wine, and most notably, funds used to prop up the lifestyles of his fellow judges. Cartwright makes deals with several judges, ensuring that their personal needs, be it private schooling for their children or funding their extravagant lifestyles, are taken care of. These judges, in turn, owe Cartwright their loyalty. We'll delve into how Cartwright used money as a tool to control them, and how these judges then started making decisions in favor of cartel members facing criminal charges. Cartwright uses blackmail, bribery, and personal favors to manipulate his fellow judges. In exchange for lavish perks, he demands that they rule in favor of cartel members, dismiss evidence, and ignore key testimonies. This is how Cartwright sets the foundation for a rigged judicial system in which the cartel can't lose, and those who oppose them fall into ruin. He introduces a system of favored judges who cooperate to ensure favorable verdicts for cartel members. Cartwright's network begins with a few trusted judges who know how to keep their secrets. We introduce the key players. Judge Deborah Winters. Known for her love of the finer things in life, Winters was easily manipulated when Cartwright provided her with the funds to live luxuriously. Her rulings become more and more biased in favor of cartel figures, especially those accused of trafficking. Judge Peter Harrington. A conservative man with a hidden gambling problem. Cartwright uses this to his advantage, offering Harrington money to cover his debts in exchange for a steady stream of favorable rulings. Judge Isaac Thompson. The eldest of the group, Thompson initially joined the corrupt network out of political loyalty to Cartwright. As his role expands, he becomes an enabler of Cartwright's judicial schemes, helping to cover up misdeeds and manipulate the legal system. The judges begin handing down lenient sentences or outright dismissals of cases involving cartel members. For example, when a key member of the cartel is caught with a shipment of drugs, Judge Winters and Judge Harrington collaborate to dismiss critical evidence, creating loopholes that allow cartel figures to walk free. As Cartwright's influence grows, more and more cases involving cartel members are either dismissed or manipulated in favor of the criminals. Cartwright's manipulation of the legal system becomes more sophisticated as he spreads his influence to other states. He uses his connections to create a network of judges who favor cartel figures, ensuring that they can operate with impunity across multiple jurisdictions. As a result, members of the Black Rose Cartel are acquitted of charges they should have been convicted of, and their criminal enterprises continue to thrive without interference from the law. While Cartwright is living in luxury, enjoying his newfound wealth, he faces a challenge. One of the judges in his network, Judge Charles Langley, begins to show signs of dissent. Langley is becoming increasingly uncomfortable with the control Cartwright has over the judiciary and begins to gather evidence of his wrongdoing. Langley's rebellion becomes a threat, but Cartwright is quick to shut him down, using manipulation and bribery to keep him quiet. As suspicion surrounding Cartwright grows, Detective Sarah Mitchell's investigation begins to take a deeper dive into the network of corrupt judges. Her team starts uncovering evidence of irregularities in several high-profile cases, and they begin to piece together how Cartwright has used his influence to secure false verdicts. The investigation reveals the true extent of Cartwright's power, showing that his manipulation extends beyond just Valley Creek and into neighboring jurisdictions. As the investigation unfolds, multiple whistleblowers begin to step forward. One of them is Marie Reynolds, the court clerk who was tasked with handling jury selection. Reynolds has been complicit in the scheme, but when Cartwright and his associates attempt to silence her, she finally comes forward with critical information. Her testimony reveals the extent to which Cartwright has been manipulating jury selections, bribing jurors, and ensuring that certain criminals get off scot-free. Detective Mitchell and Prosecutor Hernandez track down the evidence that connects Cartwright to the cartel. They uncover financial transactions, emails, and testimonies from ex-members of the Black Rose Cartel who confirm Cartwright's role in helping the cartel avoid conviction. The most damning evidence is a recorded phone call between Cartwright and Carlos Ortega, where Cartwright discusses his involvement in ensuring Ortega's men are acquitted of serious charges. With overwhelming evidence against him, Cartwright is arrested in a dramatic public event. The town of Valley Creek is in shock as the once respected judge is taken into custody. The trial is explosive, with Cartwright's years of manipulation and corruption laid bare for the public to see. As Cartwright's trial unfolds, the public learns of the extent of his corruption and the involvement of several other judges who have been complicit in the scheme. The case becomes a catalyst for judicial reform, as the community demands changes to prevent such corruption from happening again. Meanwhile, the Black Rose Cartel, while temporarily weakened by Cartwright's exposure, continues to operate in the shadows. In the wake of Cartwright's conviction, prosecutor Linda Hernandez leads efforts to restore integrity to the judicial system. New laws are passed to ensure greater oversight of judicial decisions and to prevent future manipulation of the courts. However, the damage done by Cartwright's reign of corruption is profound, and the town of Valley Creek struggles to regain trust in its legal system. Although Cartwright is sentenced to life in prison, his influence lives on through the corrupt practices he instilled in his colleagues. Some of the judges involved in his network face legal consequences, while others quietly retire or go into hiding. The Black Rose Cartel, although temporarily disrupted, remains a powerful force. The story delves deep into the ways in which corruption can infiltrate the most trusted institutions of society, particularly the legal system. Cartwright's manipulation of the judicial process reveals how power and greed can corrupt even those tasked with upholding justice. Cartwright's quest for power and wealth ultimately leads to his downfall. The manipulation of his fellow judges and his ties to a dangerous cartel come at a steep personal cost, as he loses everything he worked for in the pursuit of ultimate control. The investigation into Cartwright's crimes highlights the importance of maintaining accountability in all sectors of society, especially the judicial system. The community of Valley Creek and the larger legal landscape must rebuild from the damage caused by one man's ambition.